Hey guys, Ben Rad here. So we've got an interesting tutorial today. I was tasked by a YouTuber to create a Zomboy bass sound or Zomboy-style bass sound using only the native Logic plugins. So that is the ES2 synthesizer, which is the most powerful synthesizer in Logic, in my honest opinion, and any native or only the native effects. So the sound that I actually have created, it's not specific to any Zomboy track, but it does have a kind of that kind of rary sound. This is the sound that I created. And that is only using the ES2 and native effects. I'll play that in conjunction with a track that I made. I spent 5 minutes making this track. Please don't bother commenting how bad it is, but by all means comment if you want me to finish the song. But this is how it sounds on the track. So you'll notice the track isn't exactly Zomboy-ish. It's more Flux Pavilion-ish, but hey ho. So this sound is actually made up of two different ES2 patches, because ES2 isn't as flexible in modulation as Massive is. So the first sound that's part of this is this, and the second sound is this, and together they sound like this. Pretty cool, huh? So I'm going to show you how to do that. So I'm going to mute those. I'm going to solo this new track. And this is, essentially you can think of this as a blank patch from ES2. It's just a sine wave. Alright, so what we're going to do is we're going to get started. So what I did, and I'll do this so quickly, up to about 12 o'clock, bring that down to about -24. I brought the analog up a little bit. I used both other oscillators, mixed them all in about the same. Second oscillator is a ring modulation at 0 octaves, which gives it some nice harmonics. Final one is I think it's control clicked or double click to get all of these waveforms, and I chose the mean 4 and threw that up to about up an octave, and it sounds like this. Yeah, it doesn't sound like much yet. So second, I went to Legato. So that's if you want to actually start sequencing with this sound. Legato will, every time you do a common hit, it will bring in all the modulation as normal, but then if you do kind of blended notes, it'll kind of blend in with itself. It's kind of what Zomboy does. Throw it on Unison to bring out all of the different voices. Lovely jubbly. It's also important to note that I also changed the tone of these last two of the last two oscillators by one sense, up 6 cents and down 6 cents, just to kind of give it a bit more kind of harmonic distortion. Next, I played around with the cutoff. I just used one cutoff, put the cutoff around there, put the fat on, and put the resonance up around there, and the filter, the FM filter around there. See where the sound's coming from? Cool. Next, I modulated the cutoff, so cutoff 2. I modulated that against envelope 1. I didn't actually change envelope 1 at all. I just used the standard decay, and that's kind of, so that'll be bringing the cutoff up and then down. But what I did was I actually went negative. So what that's doing is it's kind of bringing the cutoff up. Yeah. The higher you bring that up, the slower the cutoff will be brought in. That sounds about right. Next, I modulated the FM filter against envelope 1 again, but I did the opposite, so I threw it about halfway positively. Next, I did the where is it? The FM filter, and I modulated that against envelope 2. and I took it all the way up. And what I did to envelope 2 was I threw the attack all the way up, threw the decay up, the sustain up, and the release down. And that's going to bring out a different kind of curve. It's kind of going to be like that almost. And you can kind of see where the movement's coming from now. In fact, I might actually bring that down a bit more. Yeah, there you go. In terms of envelope 3, I just threw everything up. I increased the release a little bit to give it a bit of a tail. Cool. Finally, I cranked the distortion up around there. I did the brightness around there, so we're only distorting the kind of the mid-high frequencies, and I had a tiny bit of chorus. Didn't adjust the speed at all. Probably put the intensity around there. Hey, there you go. That's about it, really. I mean, if you want to start sequencing with this sound alone, throw some glide in there as well, just for good measure. That's the sound in the S2, lovely jubbly. What I did then was I added a phase distortion. I just used the default through the cutoff of the top so that the distortion is at the highest frequencies. Pull the resonance down, max modulation around there, intensity around there, and mix around 25%. You can fiddle around with these as much as you want, and it'll change the sound as much as you want. So, yeah, just adds a bit more crunch. You know, if I put it all the max, that's just really, really dirty. But we don't want that too much because it gets rid of the full punch. But I quite like that. And lastly, as I always do with any sort of higher frequency bass sounds, cut off the lows because we're going to add a sub underneath that later on. That's that sound, I think. I think the last thing I did was I took a send and threw it on bus 20, and on bus 20 I used Space Designer. This is just a smooth vocal hall. You can do whatever you want though, it doesn't matter. And a channel equalizer, so we're actually equalizing the actual reverb itself, cutting off all the lows so we haven't got too much muddiness in the actual reverb, but leaving some bump in the highs so it gives a bit of atmosphere. Really just put that the tiniest bit. Just gives a bit of atmosphere. And I'm a glutton for reverb. So I think that's the first one done. Let's try the second one now. So again, standard patch, standard sine wave. All right. First things first, what I did was I took that as a saw wave. I opened up all of the oscillators. The second was a square, the last was a saw. Again, I kind of mixed them around here, to be honest. I threw the first two oscillators down an octave, and the last one down 2 octaves. And I put the unison on. Doesn't sound that much yet, correct? Correct. So, oh, and sorry, apologies, and I also put on the legato. There we go, lovely jubbly. In order to make the sound kind of meld similarly to the other sound, I did very similar cutoffs, but the resonance is a bit higher on this one, and I'll show you why in a split second. Didn't put the FM up at all, but I did put the drive up. Oh, and I put the fat on as well. Pretty much exactly the same as the last one. I modulated the second cutoff with envelope 1, and I did pretty much the exact same, but really, really extreme. Okay, and I think I raised it up a tiny bit more. So the higher this goes, the slower it takes for the cutoff to open up. Cool. And I did the same with the FM filter. I can never remember what that's bloody called. Envelope 1, and I think I put that up about halfway, maybe a bit more. Okay, cool. Sorry, I've got to stop doing that. Lastly, I think I added another bit, you know, the same as before, added a bit of tail. Yeah, brilliant. So in this one, I had some really hard distortion through it all the way up, and the brightness all the way up. Okay, you'll notice that kind of kills the sound a little bit. Now, what I'm going to do is I'm just going to turn the distortion down, and I'm going to show you why I put the resonance up here. And this is a really nice tip. So big flashing lights, this is a really nice tip. The resonance up here, and you know we've got the modulation of the cutoff. Wah. What I did was I added a bit crusher. Throw the bit crusher down to 8-bit, and then downsample it to, let's say, 16-bit, it doesn't matter, and see what it sounds like. It's kind of like a yeah. You know, yeah. Sounds good, right? So get rid of that. Throw the distortion back up again. So it's a very distorted yeah sound. And I think that was it. I didn't add any chorus or anything. Maybe I'll try adding a chorus now. That doesn't sound right. That's it. So before the bit crusher, I added an EQ, cut off the lows as normal, and added some peaks in the mids. I put some sidechain compression on here, and I put that against bus 1, which is always my kicks. Check out some of my other videos, and I'll show you. I've actually got a compression or a sidechain compression video that shows you why I do that. It makes the sound kind of duck down when the kicks and the snares come in. And the most important part of this is the auto filter. Let me just close that quickly and open up the auto filter. This is the most important part of the actual sound, and this is what makes the sound do this. Yeah. So basically throwing in a cutoff filter right at the end after all the distortion. Put it on 1:1, beat sync, all of these are on 0. Waveform is, I think it's supposed to be a sine or a saw wave, I don't know. Pulse width 100%. And the cutoff modulation 100%. What that means is that when we have the cutoff at 0, with the cutoff modulation all the way to 100%, the cutoff is going to go whap. So throw the resonance down to 0, don't want too much resonance. Fatness at 60. Distortion input is 148. Distortion output is 36%. Main out, dry all the way down. That's what we got. Same as before, I added some reverb, just the tiniest bit. Okay, and for both of these sounds, I threw them into their own bus. So in this case, I put it on bus 2, which you can see is for my bass. On bus 2, I then created a send, and I put that send to, where are we? On that send, I put another bit crusher down to 8-bit, about 5%. Throw the mix in a little bit there, and what you're going to do is we're going to keep all the main sound, but we're going to add that bit crush above everything, so it gives that kind of more kind of growly sound. There you go. That's it. Done. Let's hear what I've just made this on the fly. Let's hear this in the mix. Done. I'm sure I could do better than that. Please forgive me. I'm not using Massive. It's kind of a hard challenge. If anyone can do better, please, I want to see it. I'm not challenging you. I just want to see it because I've tried so hard. If you like the video, give it a thumbs up. If you like me and my videos, subscribe. If you want me to finish that track, because I've just created a drop here, if you want me to try and finish that track, do comment, let me know, boost my confidence, and if it's a resounding yes, I'll be sure to get that completed within the next few weeks. So yeah, thanks everyone for watching. I hope you've enjoyed this. I've been Ben Rad, and I'll catch you later. Bye.